And a thriller at Boondall between the Bullets and the Tigers. Last night at Boondall, a terrific game once again, and it just shows how little there is between the top teams, doesn't it? 1 point the difference in overtime.
Yeah, well, it's still a big battle on for those top 6 positions. There's really at least 7 teams, possibly 8 teams fighting for the 6, and really the order within the 6 is very much up in the air. North Melbourne just really a couple of wins ahead of the team in 6th place, so it's still with 3 or 4 games to go in the season. It's anybody's guess as to what the positions will be.
Down at the Gold Coast today, we have Glenn Palmer as usual. Good afternoon, or good morning, Glenn. What is it? It's afternoon.
It's good
Sorry,
afternoon,
mate.
Peter, after midday now.
Just turned. Looks a lovely day.
Well, I was just going to say it's a little bit overcast in Paradise today, but we're still smiling because it was great to see the Cougars finally get back on the winning track. And joining us, their new coach, albeit probably only for a few games, Brian Lester, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mike, man.
Great win on Friday night.
Oh, it's a tremendous win. I mean, the way we came out from the start of the game and played our defence was the major reason for the result.
Well, let's look at these two teams, Hobart and the Gold Coast Cougars, and looking at their record, we see that both of them are out of the running for the playoffs at this stage. The Gold Coast Cougars are down there in, where is it, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11th place, Hobart at 12th, and they've got no chance of making the playoffs. But the danger man, of course, for Hobart, Wayne McDaniel, averaging 34 points a game, and well, the Gold Coast, an all-round team, Glenn, I suppose you'd say. There's been no one player who's dominated, but they've certainly shown that players can come off the bench and do the job as equally as good as the starters recently.
Yeah, most definitely. I thought on Friday night the team was controlled quite well as far as your player personnel. In particular, you made substitutions at the right time and everyone contributed. I think it was something like 6 players finished in double figures, Brian.
Yes, well, we go very deep. I think that's one of the advantages of our team, that we do go right down to 8, 9 and 10 players. And I tried to keep everyone rotated really well, keep people coming in and out of the game, to keep the intensity level up.
In this particular game, Peter, the Cougars always had the upper hand, despite Hobart coming right back in the 3rd and 4th quarter. They led it at the first quarter break, 31-22, and there's Tom Wisman there in the crowd enjoying the game. It was good to see Tom there too, I thought, Brian.
Oh, yeah, it's great. You know, Tom is obviously disappointed about what has happened, but he's a great person, and he came into the rooms after the game to congratulate all the players, which I thought was a nice touch.
Scotty Del Zoppo started and hit a couple of 3-pointers early in the game and ended up contributing 10, so he's kicked along well this season.
Very well, and the thing I like about Scotty, he's a hard worker. He works very hard on defense, and he's starting to run the show pretty well from the point guard spot.
Actually, the star of the night, and I guess at this stage of the year, a lot of interest is in who the Cougars are going to have next year as player personnel. Yeah. But your 2 imports, Leroy Combs had a strong game. He's 2 in a row now. But in particular, I thought Brian Kellebrew had a whale of a game. I think he went within 1 assist of a triple-double.
Yes, he was just 2 assists short of the triple, but he played a fantastic game. I mean,
that's Brian on the ball now, by the way.
Yeah, his all-round performance was something, and to top that off, he had to play defense on Wayne McDaniel. So, yeah, I was very pleased with Brian's game.
Brian, Peter Mears here. Is Brian Kellebrew a point guard, or would you rethink that?
Well, actually, in my way of thinking, Brian's a forward. He's a shooting forward. Although his shooting hasn't been that good of late, he is a forward, and he's had to step into the point guard spot, which I think he's done very well.
Yeah, I think it's been hard on Brian Kellebrew because Combs goes for a Showtime dunk there. It's been very hard on Brian Kellebrew to run the point. He is a big man, and if you look at the stats for the NBL, he's in the top 10 for offensive rebounding. So, I mean, had he been able to play his natural game all year, who knows what Brian Kellebrew could have finished up this season.
Exactly.
So that was a win by 126 points to 117, and the Cougars showing that they've got a lot of talent in that team. They can't make the playoffs, but they're certainly going to hurt a few teams over the last 2 weeks. Leroy Combs, 26 points. Kellebrew was joint MVP with his 25. Bailey had 25 with lots of threes. And for the Devils, McDaniel, 35 points, and he was assisted by Krebs and Cass. Before we go to a break, and we'll have a look at North Melbourne against Eastside next, let's go to the Nike Notebook and learn about defence.
Another page from the Nike NBL Notebook.
North Melbourne would still be the tougher side. It's a champion team like them. They go through a bit of a slump, and you know they're going to pull out. They're going to keep on coming back at you. I thought over the last couple of weeks they've had a chance to see their problems and possibly sort them out. Eastside, a big side inside, but they were lacking shooters from outside, and I thought that might have been the area North Melbourne would be able to go and get on top of them with.
Well, let's take a look at the record of the two teams. North Melbourne on top 17-5. East Side Melbourne 16-6. North Melbourne, you remember, were beaten by the Brisbane Bullets the previous week, and they've been a little bit out of sorts. Scott Fisher, who normally averages 32 points a game, is a bit out of touch at the moment. David Graham's shooting has really gone off. In fact, he has been taken out of the starting 5. Joe Hillman's been in great shooting touch, and he's been probably the key scorer for them. On the other hand, Bruce Bolden hit 50 points the previous week for East Side Melbourne, and he is right on form, particularly in the rebounding department. So look for those players as we pick up the highlights of this game, with the Spectres leading by 3, 96-93. The commentators are Bruce McAvaney and Bill Palmer of the Glass House. Bottom on the table, and Perth are 14-8, and they're in 5th place. But John, it hasn't turned out this way, and Newcastle last week had a win over Adelaide. What do you put it down to?
Newcastle, I think, might have a new rejuvenated spirit with Greg Lazard going. It's given some of the younger guys a chance to get a bit more court time. And the one thing that's very hard to measure in this is the enthusiasm that can often bring these guys coming on and think, here's my chance. They go out and play with 110%. A couple of the top teams probably take them a little bit easily. You just can't measure that spirit and determination that sometimes comes in.
I know Brian Curl's got a lot of respect for coach Ken Cole, who has admitted this will be his last season with the Newcastle Falcons. But let's have a look at this mighty win by his team against the Perth Wildcats. At half-time, they were up. Perth were up by 1. There are the details of the scorers for these teams. James Bullock is a player to watch. He's been leading the rebounding in the NBL. He's averaging 28.6 points a game. And for the Wildcats, well, always Crawford and Pinder as stars inside and Grace outside. Here are the highlights of that game.
Confrontation here in the second half. Crawford against Bullock, the two superstars of the match so far. Pinder out quickly to Grace, inside to Pinder, he'll get the 2, and they're out by 3. Takes on Mike Ellis all the way, gives it off to Michael Johnson, 2-point attempt, he overshoots, Hill gets the rebound, nearly turns it over, but Bullock gets it back, he has the 3-point attempt and makes it!
Super confident player, and 20 points for the match.
Hill. Kruger set the screen, Hill going all the way, falls off the glass, and he gets 2. Grace now. Crawford setting for remove, throws it up, he gets 2. Not too much the defence can do about that, Terry Judd.
James Crawford having a big effect there, Dave.
Yes, well, James, you want to stop from inside, but he's such a great player. He hits a 15, 16-foot jumper on you. So, very great player, and it's very hard to stop. We see Newcastle come back and get 2, and now they're up 1, 82-81.
Harvey back in the game. He gets the ball from Hill. Hill gets it back, gives it to Bullock. Bullock, 3-point attempt, can't make it. James Bullock missing with his last 4 or 5 shots. Watterson now, thought about the pass to Torrance.
There's no rebounders in there, Mike. When you take the shot, you want one of your teammates in there looking to get the rebound if you miss. As we see Tiny Pinder ready to come into the game.
Perth have done a good job in blocking James Bullock from that drive along the baseline. He really has taken some shots from outside tonight as Watterson fires up and makes 2. So Grant Kruger checking in for the Falcons. Out goes Neil Turner. It's Ricky Grace just having a little bit of a spell. Bruton using his troops quite well tonight. And that's the mark of the top sides in the competition as Peter Hill fires up and fires a big 3, Peter Hill.
Yes, that's 30 points for Peter Hill. That'll certainly be his game high. I can't recall him ever scoring 30 points before in an NBL match.
We've often seen, Terry, as I was saying, that the depth that some teams, the top teams have had, has really been the success, or their success in the competition this year.
They certainly have, as we see James Crawford just on the edge of the free throw, putting another 2 away.
8 points the difference. Hill gives it back to Johnson. He thought about the 3, goes for 2 instead, gets fouled, and he can make it a 3-point shot as he'll go to the line and try and add the extra.
Score by quarters there, where Newcastle led by 4 at quarter time, trailed by 1, 56-57 at the major break. 3-quarter time, Perth led by 3, and now it's all tied, 102 apiece with 6:35 remaining in the game.
Kruger doing some good defence again on Jeff Allen. Bullock picks up another rebound. Hill with the ball, gets it back to Bullock. Thought about going inside. Hill gets the ball. He goes along the baseline, gives it out to Michael Johnson. He's got an eternity and throws it in the hole. Unbelievable stuff.
Yes, that was a payback. Last time down, Jeff Allen missed an easy one there, and I think he was a bit upset with Crew getting in his way with the easy one, so he got him back at the other end, but now he's sitting on the pine.
Grace with 2. Good basket by Ricky Grace. Point in it now. Harvey keen to run at the Wildcats. Johnson. 2-point attempt. I think he had a foot in the line. Yes, good call, Steve Bignell. Michael Johnson remonstrates with him and say, I'm sure that was 3, but a good call, Steve Bignell.
Yes, he's hot, 34 points.
Ricky Grace calling for timeout, gets it. So plenty of action here. 5:38 left in the match. The Falcons lead by 3.
The referees don't have that as we see.
3-point attempt, Trevor Torrance, he makes it. 2 points in it. 2:22 left in the match. Anybody's ball game. Harvey now for the Falcons. Torrance out on him. Michael Johnson. Oh, brilliant intercept by Ricky Grace, but he just can't handle totally. And it's over the line and the Falcons will inbound. Good anticipation by Ricky Grace. Johnson to Bullock. Trying to take on James Crawford again to work for that 5th foul. Has the shot now. He makes it, James Bullock.
40 points to James Bullock, the game high scorer.
Amazing basketball game here. Under 2 minutes. 1:50 left in the ball game. Mike Ellis now. Timeouts could be crucial.
Oh, travel. Shuffle the feet. Under a little bit of pressure. You can see their nerves coming into play there.
So a real chance here for the Falcons now. Peter Harvey with the ball as Torrance moves out on him.
Need to keep the
Dishes
ball.
off to Michael Johnson. He fires up for 3. Oh, unbelievable, Michael Johnson.
40
when
points.
you're hot. 15 seconds left in the ball game. They've got to have a 3-pointer to go to extra time. Mike Ellis throws it up. He makes it. Unbelievable, Mike Ellis. 7 seconds. 5 seconds left in the ball game. Bullock, can he score? Falls away, throws it off the glass.
There's a
and
foul.
he's
Foul.
He'll go to the line. James Bullock will go to the line. Well, what a finish to the ball game. He needs to make one. James Bullock needs to make one shot.
Ken Cole's in shock on screen.
He's not the only one.
He's only got to get one basket away and they've won the game.
This is to win the game. The crowd's on its feet. What a dramatic
And you can see
finish
there
to this game.
the percentage that he normally shoots.
And he misses with the first. He misses with the first. Well, how much tension will it be in his right-hand wrist with this one? He's got to make this.
Unbelievable.
Bullock. It's up. It's up. And it's a win to the Falcons. The Newcastle Falcons have come up with an amazing victory. After full time, if you like. James Bullock, the hero of the game. The crowd, a standing ovation for the Perth Wildcats. What a rotten way to lose a basketball game.
Well, what a finish to a terrific game. Well done to the Falcons. That's their 3rd win of the season, and they're going to be a nuisance. They play Brisbane next Saturday night. The MVP in that game wasn't Wayne Bullock, it was Michael Johnson, who the streak shooter had 40 points there. Bullock had 34 points. And for Perth, James Crawford their best with 35 points, and Mike Rabbit caught up with an elated coach, Ken Cole, after the game.
Ken, congratulations on a great win. Have you ever been in a more exciting game in the last few minutes?
No, I thought it was a high-quality game all of the way through, and again, it really shows that the kids are growing up, because when it gets down to the line like that, you expect the more senior team to be the one with all of the composure, and we got it together and did everything right.
Yeah, well, that was a comment I made going into the last few minutes. I thought Perth, with their added experience, might put it over our younger team, but that wasn't the case.
No, they hung on well, and we had timeouts up our sleeve in case anybody got trapped, and it worked well, and I thought they handled it very well.
Ken, the referees tended to let the game go a little bit tonight. Never seen so many charges and a lot of pushing and shoving. How'd you find that?
Well, I think we've been working harder and harder at trying to play better defence by getting into position and take away lanes, and I think we're starting to do an excellent job at that. And some players that expect us to sort of be able to walk through get frustrated, and it nearly got out of hand, I thought, in the second quarter. It started to get very interesting. And again, the good thing is that the kids didn't get rattled. You know, they stayed at it.
I think he's a great character, Ken Cole. I hope he doesn't leave the NBL as a coach, and I've heard rumours that he might stick around. Glenn, what did you think of that game? Does it show that Perth are a bit brittle?
Fantastic. I don't know whether Perth's brittle or whether Newcastle are just playing a hell of a lot better, but I think the guys are doing it for Kenny Cole. Brian Lester, you played under Ken Cole, and he's the sort of guy that makes you want to play to your optimum level whenever you take the court, and knowing full well that it is his last season, you think the players are putting in a special effort for Kenny?
Oh, definitely. He's a tremendous coach, and the best coach I've ever had. Actually, I'll be calling him during the week. His last 2 games have been against Adelaide and Perth, we've got the Doomsday double coming up, so I might be able to pick up a few tips from him.
Just before we go, I'll get our cameraman to do a little bit of a pan across here. We're right next to the Currumbin Bird Sanctuary. No doubt you've been hearing a bit of a noise going down. Well, this is the reason.
Oh, blue-necked parrots, Glenn.
Well, is that what they're called, Peter? I'm no Harry Butler, so I was going to ask someone what type of birds they are, but they're the very colourful feathered variety. That's all I can say at this stage. But
Well, Glenn, tell me, our cameraman here has some, and he wants to know what you feed him, because he doesn't know what to give him.
well, I don't personally feed them myself, but I dare say it's some rather exotic combination of honey and bread.
Thanks, Glenn. And with that, we'll go to a break and come back with some highlights of Brisbane and Melbourne next.
Chris Palmer has just gone berserk. 108 to 102. Well, our game's all over. And the ball at the end of the game. What a courageous effort by Rucker. 110 to 102. Just listen to the crowd. The first time the Bullets have beaten the Giants at home since 1985. And the first time in history here at Burndall.
Welcome back. We're into NBL 90 and we're about to look at the big game at Burndall last night between Melbourne and Brisbane. Melbourne last week knocked over two of their rivals for fourth spot on the table. Brisbane, at least Canberra and Sydney, and the Sydney game was a one-point thriller. So Melbourne have shown in the clutch games recently they've really got the talent to take it to the top teams. Let's have a look at their lineup for the Brisbane game.
From Cleveland, Ohio, number 4, Dave Colbert. And he's followed by former Illawarra Hawk, Warwick Giddy. Number 7 is a sparingly used American, Brad Pino. Number 8 is starting guard, Ray Gordon. And the best player in the land, number 10, amazing gaze, Andrew Gaze. Number 11, his cousin, and very seldom used this year, Mark Gaze. Number 12 is useful guard forward, Nigel Purchase. And he's followed by former Adelaide 36er, Cecil Exum. Number 25, the best centre in the league, Dave Simmons. And number 33, rookie forward, Stephen Whitehead.
Well, let's look at the records of the two teams. We see that Brisbane are in third place, and if they can win this game, they can in fact go to the top of the table, because North Melbourne have been beaten and they could join East Side Melbourne on top of the table. Derek Rucker, of course, the leading scorer for Brisbane. Andrew Gaze, the leading scorer for the Melbourne Tigers. So a great shootout between those two. And Melbourne, of course, with those two wins, are now on 15 and 8 in fourth place, so they have a chance of cementing fourth place in the table coming up to the playoffs in 2 weeks' time if they can win this game. John, what do you see as the keys for Brisbane to win this game? Well, firstly, Melbourne to win the game.
Well, I think it's always going to be a shootout between Derek Rucker and Andrew Gaze, so those two I think almost cancel themselves out. But the thing that has let Brisbane down in the past couple of weeks have been their rebounding, and it's really got to be a crucial key for them coming into the playoffs. With such a good rebounding side with the double Ds for Melbourne, I think that's going to be the key. The Brisbane blocking out the double Ds and then getting enough offensive rebounds and second shots down the other end.
Basically, they're a three-man side, and down at the coast, Glenn, it seems that Brisbane are pretty much a three-man side with Rucker, Moore and Loggins.
Yeah, I'd like to throw one more, and I think Robert Sibley deserves to be there. Brisbane more of a four-man side, but I know the point you're trying to make. I don't know, Peter. At the start of this particular game, I had a feeling that Melbourne just slightly had the wood on Brisbane for some unknown reason. I really can't put my finger on it, and it did go to overtime, as we'll see. So they're very evenly matched, but I think the Gaze factor is just something that no team in the league can counteract. He's going to score 40 points no matter what you try to do to the man, and with the double D still contributing all the way through, I reckon they're the toughest side in the league, and if it's not going to be the Bullets, then it could well be this side that'll take it out this year.
Well, as it turned out, the Bullets started as well as they've started all year, and they leapt to a 13-point lead in the third quarter. Lindsay Gaze made some astute subs and got it back to about 8 points at quarter time. And Brisbane just kept their noses in front until the final quarter, when the game seesawed, first one way and then the other. We'll pick up the action with the points 107 to 106.